Hey, hello. This is your recording to kind of go over these social emotional development resources. And because we divide these up into this area of identity in particular, I've got a few things in here for you to think about. These are pieces that I use in my workshops and courses in person over many years, and I have found that my students really find them helpful. This is a video called How to Outsmart Your Unconscious Bias. A lot of you have asked about that, so as promised, when I told you it would be in this content area, I kept my promise. So anyway, I highly recommend using this way she works with it on a regular basis. I do it personally every day, and it's very, very helpful to me. I try to use her methodology and think of different people in different ways and different roles. And it's what I reference in the PowerPoint about expanding the roles of community helpers and so forth and so on. So hopefully you'll find that helpful also. In terms of social emotional development with kids, all the words is what I call this section, and it's basically, this young person testified in Congress many years ago, and I loved this quote from this kid. He said, "But if you think about it, what you call people is how you treat people." Because he was referencing how people say it doesn't matter what you name someone, it matters how you treat them. And when he testified, he made that statement, and I took a screenshot of it. I just love this kid so much, and you'll see his video in a few minutes. And I love this poster. I had a different version. It's an old poster. I actually had it in my classroom like 30 years ago. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can really hurt me. And a lot of kids would hear at home the opposite of that. Yes. We in our culture have this idea that being sensitive about what you're called or referred to is being overly sensitive. But I would go back to, but if you think about it, what you call people is how you treat people. So this is part of social emotional development, part of identity, lots of things about the words we use. We'll talk about in the PowerPoint boys and girls and the use of those terms. So just be thinking about that and recognize it in yourself, especially. There are two links here that I've used over the years. The M word and the R word. I'll let you just listen to those and make comment. They're very useful, especially, again, you'll see the testimony in the R word of this kid when they changed the language in the laws of our country regarding individuals with intellectual delay. So, and the M word is one that's, a lot of people don't think about very much, but I think it's very important in educating our kids and ourselves about how these things actually do matter. So, again, our language matters because it reflects our thinking. And then I want you to think about the idea that children do not learn to be pro social in lessons. Like, you can do all the lessons you want in being pro social, but honestly, what they're really getting is our practices and our stories and what we actually do. So these are some spaces. This Harvard Developing Child, I can't recommend it enough. I know some of you have had me for class before, and you've heard this before, so now you've heard it again. This concept of serve and return is the foundation of identity and social emotional development. Please look into it and comment about your relationship to it. How often do you get to serve and return with kids every day? What is that like for you? And toxic stress is one that I think we really need to understand in terms of social emotional development because our culture has experienced an extended period of toxic stress between the pandemic related to the COVID virus and vaccination period, in addition to all of the toxic stress around the issues of racial justice and the police that were also in a high stress situation for our communities. In particular, Louisville really had a strong relationship to both of these issues. We had a governor who got us through it in a much better way maybe than other communities. We were lucky, but nevertheless, between these two areas, we have children who have experienced extended relationships to toxic stress. And I want you to look at this very carefully and understand what toxic stress is and what just normal stress is, to make sure you understand the difference. And then this concept of resilience is huge in social emotional development, just cannot be overemphasized. And so what I want you to do is first look at what does it really mean to be resilient. Many people think it means that we got to get our kids to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and get over it and move on. That's what resilience is. That is not what resilience is. Resilience is something much more complicated than that. And so what I'd like you to do is when you look at this, think about what you believed resilience was before and what you think it is now. And what does that mean we should be providing kids with in terms of our classroom experiences? I would argue that in order to help kids be more resilient, the best thing we can do is acknowledge their feelings, acknowledge their identities, lift them up, and the main component of being resilient is that you have enough positives in your space to outweigh the negatives. So you can have really super duper negative stuff going on, but if you have a community in your classroom every day that supports you, you can become resilient. The main thing about resilience is not that you yourself change your behavior so that you're resilient. It's that you have what you need around you to feel that you can overcome what's happening for you, that you're not alone, that you're respected, that your story is believed, that your identity is validated. So this is super important and in terms of social emotional development. So I'd like you to really pay attention to the difference and comment about your understanding of it. This is a screenshot sent to me by some teachers who studied this work with me many years ago, and just wanted to show you we're reimagining community helpers. What I wanted you to see was how they reimagined it, and it's a permanent provocation in their classroom. Look at it really carefully. Here's another version of it. The child's father has given permission for this to be shared. It's very powerful. Look at all those people who are seen by the child surrounding them in the mirror. This is resilience building, right? You're not alone. You have people around you who are fighting for you. If you're a member of, you can see up here, there's a young Muslim woman who's wearing her hijab, and there's different folks in these pictures where children can see these are people who are with me on my journey. I don't have to do it alone. I can be resilient. You can see in our course that there's a photograph of blocks with names on it, and the children each have their name on a block, and they build their community as they come in the morning, and they find their name on their block and they build it, and there's names of everyone that is in relationship to their classroom. So they learn to build community, and that's another way of representing resilience for them. Another strategy I've seen teachers do, and I recommend, is that when someone gets hurt, that everyone is involved in in the solution for that. You're walking on the play, to the playground, and somebody falls and gets hurt. Instead of, picking that child up and encouraging them to, get over it basically, or even if you're just acknowledging it and you're doing really well with that. It can be even more beneficial for a group of kids to sit down and say, when someone gets hurt, we all are there for this person. Even if it just takes an extra 2 or 3 minutes. And you can say, does anyone want to say anything to so-and-so? They got hurt. This invites this relationship to resilience and community in a whole new way. So I'd just like you to think about that and respond to it maybe. I'm going to have a separate recording of this Martino Has Wheels. Sorry, I spelled it wrong there. And it's a book about resilience and about understanding and including children with differences. It's about a boy named Martino who who's in a wheelchair, and it's about this little girl, how she develops an understanding of what that actually means. So that'll be a separate piece that I share with you. Then you have NAEYC resources and Head Start resources. Those are very good. Please make notes about those. So basically, I just want you to make notes and comments about what you learned from each of these to submit. And again, you can do handwritten notes, you can do typed up notes, or you can record yourself responding to them. It's totally up to you. But just make sure you say something about each one if you in terms of especially the things I've emphasized here.